Many governments that have thrown off the old systems of royalty are republics, mixed systems intended to effectively distribute power of the people, by the people, and for the people. But does our government actually represent the majority views of U.S. society? If it is truly democratic, as the pluralist theory suggests, many different groups all have some power in various ways. But if in fact only a select few have a voice in government, an oligarchy, then the power elite model may be more accurate. The first sociologists who brought up a power elite oligarchy after the two world wars were concerned with the power of the military-industrial complex. Military leaders, heads of industrial corporations that made military technology, and politicians, all of whom could retain and increase their level of wealth and influence by utilizing the fear of future wars and the promise of millions of working-class jobs. And we have seen military spending and activity increase steadily since that time, until the present, where the United States spends more on its military than much of the rest of the world combined. But the weapons industry isn't the only set of corporations to vastly increase its power in recent years. So a larger power elite model has been proposed, that our oligarchy is largely plutocratic, ruled by the wealthiest people in corporations, as well as other interest groups with significant influence. Such influence may be helped by professional lobbyists working full-time to pressure politicians to make decisions in favor of the organizations that hired them. So bribery is illegal, but what counts as a bribe? There is no law preventing lobbyists from offering jobs to retiring politicians, creating a potential role conflict of interests between powerful corporations and government positions with power over taxes and regulations that affect those corporations. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of private spending in political elections, declaring money spent by corporations as a form of protected free speech. In a republic which perfectly represents the will of its citizens, the more people support a law, the more chance it should have of passing. But a major study on political decisions and public support found that, for most people, there was almost no difference between a law that they loved and one which they hated and its chances of being passed. However, the opinions of the wealthiest 10%, the plutocratic elite, did have a significant effect, able to block a law entirely if none of them supported it. So the wealth generated by market oligopolies and finance sector profits may be helped by a system of state capitalism, but the influential power of crony capitalism may come from the use of that wealth. It may be a structural cycle, like the cycles of poverty and discrimination, that is bigger than any one individual or group. Yet, there are many different groups competing for influence, and so the pluralist model says that different groups have power in different ways. The wealthy don't all agree, and other groups, including labor unions and small business owners, have combined resources to lobby for their own interests. As massive an institution as government is, it is only a social construction made up of all the individuals that contribute to it. What power do ordinary people have to change it? The United States began after violently rebelling against the rule of the British monarchy, and since then many groups, from women and racial minorities to labor unions and peace activists, have protested, boycotted, striked, and otherwise tried to coerce the government to change. While it takes wealth to advertise in mainstream media or hire lobbyists, anyone can share an idea on the internet. And of course, we do technically have a representative democracy, with some local opportunities for direct democracy, and most adult citizens can vote or run for office. An individual's power is limited, but forming interest groups combines ideas and resources. Anthropologist Margaret Mead once said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." But all of these actions require persistence and active participation, and most working people don't have a lot of extra time and energy to contribute. Yet even the quick act of casting a vote is only drawing around half of eligible citizens in recent elections. Perhaps it's strain theory again. We retreat from our political duties out of a feeling of hopelessness, or that there is no option we really agree with. Our beliefs about government power arise from our personal and cultural values. The way in which we balance progress and tradition, peace and security, equality and competition, forms our larger political ideology. We form in-groups based on our ideology, and Democrats and Republicans each tend respectively towards more liberal or more conservative views. Liberal views on the left end of the spectrum allow more authority in economic issues of money and business for the sake of equal opportunity, while conservative views on the right prioritize free market competition. Social issues are more complicated, but liberal views generally prioritize progressive change and greater acceptance of deviance, while conservative views prioritize traditional norms and stronger social controls. Go far enough in either directions, and you end up with an authoritarian state. Many people feel that when voting in national elections, especially for president, they are voting for the lesser of two evils. Political parties are like massive interest groups, nominating political candidates that appeal to a larger political ideology. But our elections are dominated by only two main political parties, who must balance the many social and economic issues that people care about, and operate in a bureaucracy that pressures conformity and blames problems on political scapegoats. The number of Americans registering in one of those two main parties has dropped dramatically in recent years, with the largest group now registering as independent. While the Democrats are moderately liberal and the Republicans are somewhat conservative, the popularity of the corporate tycoon Donald Trump and the Democratic Socialist Bernie Sanders show that many people are looking for representatives who take a stronger stance or find alternative balances between the issues. Do we need more powerful third parties? Or would that simply divide the vote and allow even less popular candidates to win? Are there changes we could make to our political system to allow more choice and less corruption? As a social scientist, I encourage you to take advantage of accurate, detailed, less biased internet resources to learn all you can about the political options in your country, and consider larger structural changes that may make a difference in our political system.